baby.
Offense, you know what to do.
It's football time in Tennessee.
That's it, bro.
Get me Tennessee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 1796 Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Norman Rothan, joined alongside, as always, Brian and Eli. Well, Tennessee gets a big win, and their first real test this year against Oklahoma on the road. Oklahoma's first SEC game ever, and we actually have Eli, who was at the game, so we really want to know. We're going to start off with, how was the atmosphere? Like, what was the fan percentage? How, like, did Tennessee show out? Did we not? You couldn't really tell on TV because of the red and orange kind of like mixed together a little bit. So let's get Eli's firsthand take of Norman, Oklahoma.
First things first, Oklahoma fans are way too nice. I didn't like it. It was kind of funny. First impressions, we pulled up. We parked at like a frat house, and like they just let us. Like usually, if you go to like any other SEC school, they're gonna cuss you out and say like you can't park here, and they just kind of let us park there. But other than that, like their fans are very passionate. Like during the game, they were getting, like you could tell that like it was bugging them, and that like the team means so much to them. Like they knew players' names. Like sometimes you'll go to like Bama and they're not very like they're just Bama because they're bandwagons. Oklahoma fans are passionate. They know they know their players. They know their team. They know the quarterback. They know defensive players that like even like I don't know. And I'm a sports journalist. Like their fans are very passionate. Their traditions are a little odd, a little different, but it's cool to see. But Tennessee did show out, and like we were loud. You could probably tell over the TV. Tennessee fans, I think, are the most passionate fans in the country, and like I don't think that's biased to say.
What's your best estimate on how on the split of Tennessee versus Oklahoma fans?
I go back and forth because I was on the upper deck. I couldn't see below me, but like towards the end of the game, fans were moving down, and I saw a couple pictures on TV. I want to say like 70-30, maybe 75-25.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's very good. And we were loud. Like so the whole away side upper deck was all orange. And that's huge. But that's far away, so but I don't know. I think that towards the end of the game, like our whole section was full because it is a 25-minute walk. Not even joking, guys. A 25-minute walk from the ground to the top.
How in the world does it take 25 minutes?
Because it's like so you know like the ramps that go like they zigzags.
Yeah,
they're zigzags, but it's like a 5% incline. So it's like flat. It's like literally 25 flights. So it's just a lot of walking. Like you're not going uphill. You're just like really flat, which I don't agree. Like it took us literally 25 minutes to get to our seats. But
well,
and like once we got up there, we weren't going back down. So
yeah, I'm sure nothing, and you can speak to this, Jim, can beat the Funhouse Mirror Maze that is Memorial Gymnasium in Nashville.
Oh my God! Yeah, no, that play. They need a new stadium. Like,
yeah, but talking about the game, unless you have anything else on the atmosphere, Eli.
Yeah, their fans are delusional. They really are, and I get it. Yeah, it's delusional but nice. Like they had some unrealistic expectations, and I was like, I really wasn't trying to like argue in a hostile-ish environment. Like I honestly like enjoyed my time there, which like if you're enjoying your time at an away game like through in and throughout, like I don't think that's a good thing, you know what I mean? Like it should be hostile. And I've even seen players talk about how it wasn't really hostile. Like it honestly, like it wasn't that loud. The way the stadium is set up, it's like 2 upper decks. It's kind of like and it's open on the north and south end zone, so like a lot of the like volume just goes out. We're more so like Neyland it's like a bowl. So like all that volume projects down and traps. So, but like, honestly, I didn't think it was that loud. Like it got loud. Like it definitely was enough I think it was a good test for the young Nico in the offense. Like it wasn't easy, is an SEC environment, but passionate fans, and it was kind of loud. It wasn't like insane though.
Yeah. Talking about the game now, I mean, it seems like the in the early facets of the game, both teams were kind of just feeling each other out, overcoming the spotlight and all the circumstances around the game with Josh Heupel making his homecoming and all that, yada, 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 whatever. But once Tennessee got going, not much slowed them down unless they chose to. Jim, what was your overall takeaways from how that game went down?
Oh well, I mean, Nico played well. I wouldn't say he played great. He did have some of the offensive line issues being with injuries. Lance hurt on left tackle was out. John Campbell got hurt mid game. I mean, they went through some adversity. The guys that came in really, they did a fine job. I won't say they did a great job, but they did a fine job enough to, keep the game intact. I do want to say Josh Heupel put on a master class coaching this game. I mean, everyone was mad. I mean, including me watching the game. The way he was, deciding to run the ball, or just how the offense was playing. But I don't know if you saw what NBA Young Vol said on Twitter or posted the video of Heupel talking to Nico saying, "Hey, I had to tone it down. The way our defense was playing, you played a hell of a game."
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I just think he outcoached Venables. Like, I mean, he outcoached him. Team as a whole, though, Dante Thornton playing really well. Brew McCoy playing really well. Our running backs, I want to give another shout out to Deshaun Bishop. I mean, he got the run game started. I mean, Sampson couldn't get anything going at first, and Bishop, turned up the heat. And then, Sampson got what he got at the end. But again, this team is different, and we'll talk about the defense later. But I'm really surprised on how this team is a team that looks like they love each other. They're playing with passion. And even though Josh Heupel wasn't talking about it, but this team wanted this game for Heupel. Like, and you could tell at the end of the game when Nico gave him the game ball, Heupel getting emotional. Like, these guys, they care for each other, and that's what's going to be, like, that's what's going to make this team get to where they want to be. And, I mean, also another shout out before I stop talking, but Max Gilbert, I mean, that kid is incredible. I mean, he's been incredible. And yeah, shout out to him.
Absolutely. Eli, what about you? Overall thoughts?
The defense is elite, of course. Like I kept going back and forth. Like, I had I think it was honestly the BVS speaking for most of us when it came to the conservative offensive play calling, because so many times in the past, like, us Tennessee fans have experienced, like, us, even like Oklahoma, the first time when we played them when they had Baker Mayfield. I can't remember what year. It was like 2014, 2014, 2015, something like that. I can't remember the year. But when we played them, we were playing to not lose rather than to playing to win, and that ended up being why we lost that football game. And I think the BVS was speaking, but like, Heupel trusted his defense, and I think we should have too. Like, I don't know the complete stats, but I think we threw the ball like 3 times in the second half. And what Heupel said to Nico in the post game, like the NBA Young Vol posted, that quote screams like, "Hey, I'm not gonna let you go. Like, I'm not letting you lose just yet. Like, you have so much more to give me, and I'm not gonna let you lose till like it's time." And I don't think he's gonna let him loose in the Arkansas game. I think we're gonna run all over them. I think we're gonna run all over Florida. But like, once it gets to the Bama game, I'm expecting Nico to just like have a day.
Yeah, I mean, just speaking about the way Heupel handled that game, like, the only way Tennessee was going to lose that game was if they continued to let Nico get blindsided and fumble the ball. Like, that was the only way that Oklahoma was going to get anything going. And luckily, and like Jim said, what we'll talk about here in a second, I mean, luckily the defense got us the ball right back after both of them. But it's kind of like in the Water Boy when Jerry Reed's character, who coaches the other team in the Bourbon Bowl, just knees the ball on offense to take out Bobby Boucher. Like, that's what he did. He's like, okay, like, if all you're gonna, the only way that you can win the game is to force turnovers, I'm just not going to give you a chance to do that. And it worked out perfectly.
Another thing I think contributed to it, John Campbell goes down. We punt. We get the ball back in Oklahoma's red zone. And Nico, we run the ball, and then Nico steps back to pass. Dane Davis gets completely doesn't touch the dude. Nico's going deep. Fumble in the red zone. They get ball. Fortunately, Jackson Arnold is not good at football and fumbled the next play. But I think Heupel saw that and he was like, all right, we can't, I can't afford Nico getting hurt. The turf sucks. We'll talk on that later. The turf sucks. And we have 2 tackles down. Let's play conservative. Let's save some guys. We got a bye week next week. Let's rest up. We're continuing into SEC play. I got to have my guys. So I think that's why he called the game very, very conservative.
Yeah. I mean, like Jim said, I mean, everybody in the moment, whether it be the BVS or just, the playing not to lose, biting a lot of teams, throughout the history of football. But literally, it's the only way that Oklahoma was going to get in the game, like I said. But it's not flashy. It's not sexy. It's not anything that Heupel wants to do. I'm sure he was very uncomfortable doing that and fighting himself. But at the end of the day, he overcome it. Because going into the game, the narrative was Josh Heupel was going to put up as many points as possible against his old employer and alma mater. But he knew to win the game, that's what they needed to do. And I give him a lot of kudos for that.
Yeah, I don't think even I was looking at it. I don't even think our starting linebackers played but 10 snaps in the second half. If that tells you enough about how well we played, how deep we are on defense. We didn't give up a touchdown until the fourth quarter, and it was basically garbage time for them. And one of them shouldn't have counted anyways because that pass, that roughing the passer call was stupid. I was watching from the top deck, and I thought it was stupid. It looked stupid from there, and it looked even stupider on TV. That was
a fumble.
Yeah, it was absolutely a fumble.
I mean, even if it was fourth down. So, either way, they shouldn't have scored. They shouldn't have had the ball still. I don't know. I don't know if the refs had money on a backdoor cover. I don't know.
Well, they didn't cover.
No, they didn't. But I think they were trying to make it. And then the spot on the fourth down with Nico, there was a lot of fishy play calling. Being in the stadium, y'all might not have noticed this on watching it on TV, but there were a couple times where we would get 15 yards and they would mark it at 13. It was very odd. The spotting was very off. From my point of view, I don't know. It was just a weird game. Top beginning to end. It was just okay, when's this game gonna start? And it was just a very defensive. It was. If you like defense, you like this football game. But Oklahoma's team comparison is the Tennessee Titans. Very good on defense, putrid offense.
Yeah, I mean the last thing I'll say about Heupel and how he coached was. In the first few years, his only option to win a game was to outscore the opponent. But now that he has the defense, he has a lot more options to coach a game and to win a game. So it's just a good thing for the program overall. And you got to give all the credit to Heupel and his coaching staff. But I want to talk about the offense now. I mean, Jimmy, you've already said the players who stood out for you, Deshaun Bishop, Dante Thornton. I can't remember if you mentioned this guy's name or not, but Brew McCoy was he was outstanding. I mean, the play that got us down there to get our first points, I'm pretty sure we ended up with just a field goal, but him just refusing to go down. He caught another deep ball in the second half that led to another field goal and a few more big catches throughout the game. But what did you think of Brew's performance, Jim?
You could just tell leadership is in that room. I mean, he's one of them. We've talked about it before. I mean, Brew McCoy is one of the leaders on this team. Um, and he has a great connection with Nico. I mean, Nico is pretty much the reason he came back in the first place. And again, Brew is one of the many that impressed me on offense. But yeah, Brew is a great leader, and he's a veteran. He literally fights every single time to go down. He does not like to get tackled, and his teammates see that, and the passion he plays with. Like when he caught that deep ball in the second half. I mean, look at the passion he had when he got up. You know, and that's what this team is. And there's not just him. I mean, you can name a couple that are they just stand out as leaders. I mean, Keenan Peely. We'll talk about him in a minute, but guys like him are just the lifeblood of this team, the lifeline of this team. They play their hearts out all game, and Brew McCoy is one of them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to me, the offense as a whole, they did they did plenty to win that game. I mean, the Nico to Thornton. I mean, that was one of the best throws that you're going to see on a college football field. Like as soon as Thornton caught the ball, it was game over. Like whoever was guarding him for Oklahoma was just 5 yards in the dust as soon as Thornton caught the ball. Game over from there. And then the drive that stood out to me was the drive after Jackson Arnold inexplicably threw the damn ball backwards, or at the very least, it was a lateral, which is a live ball, and we got it around midfield right before the half, and we pounded the rock 8 straight times with Dylan Sampson and scored. Like that was beautiful, and the cherry on top was that beautiful speed option on the 3rd and 5. Just Heupel dipping into his bag and doing what the offense needs to get ahead for good. I mean, that was the game winning points there right before half to get it to 19-3. I mean, just a beautiful drive. Beautiful drive.
I think that the play of the game, aside from the safety, which I think was very key, was the Dylan Sampson touchdown run. He is one-on-one with one of the best linebackers in the country, runs through him. He still has a hold of him, carries him for 3 yards, and sticks the ball out for a touchdown. That's how you get a team fired up. That's how you get a team going. I also want to shout out Holden Stace. He had 2 huge first down catches, and he blocked phenomenal all night. I don't know if y'all have watched any of the film on that. He was in pass pro and in run blocking. That guy is a freak, as well as Kitzelman. Like our tight ends deserve a lot of appreciation that they're not going to get because they're tight ends. But those guys are key to this team, and they're huge, and they're going to be huge going down the line when you see like a huge defensive front in Georgia or Bama, or even if you get to like the SEC championship or the playoff, like teams like Texas, Ole Miss, you could run into like Missouri, for instance. But like those guys, those tight ends, having a 2 tight end set, which we run a lot this year, is going to be huge for this team.
Yeah, it's always nice to have the physical specimens, because for a while in the mid 2010s and even late 2010s and even the first 2 years of Heupel, we just didn't look like a national championship team just physically, but now we do. We absolutely do. But talking about the obvious concern now for the offense moving forward is you absolutely have to get healthy on the offensive line for this team to do what they want to do. I know in the NIL era, the transfer portal era, it's tough to have quality depth at any position really, but it's something that has to happen, because Tennessee, for as many good things as Josh Heupel and his staff has done, they have yet to develop a guy out of high school that they recruited and have him start on the offensive line. It's either been transfers or people that Jeremy Pruitt recruited on the offensive line so far. And after this year, they have no choice but to start somebody they've got out of high school. So we'll see how that goes. But Jim, do you think the team can overcome the scare right now at both tackle spots?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could survive Arkansas and Florida
Hmm.
if they're not fully healthy. I mean, they might be fully healthy by with the bye week and all that. But I do think Tennessee could win against both those teams, um, with both out. I don't think John Campbell is going to sit out. Arkansas. I'm more looking at Hurd. Um, but again, I think both will be ready to go. Um, after the bye week, hopefully. But like I said, I think as long as both of them are back by the Alabama game, that's really all that matters. I feel like we could win these next two games no problem without them.
Quick question: what's the word on John Campbell? Do y'all know? I didn't see anything on Twitter. I didn't really
Well, he
look. To be
came back
honest.
in the game.
I don't.
Uh,
I was at the game. I couldn't tell. So
yeah, he came back in the game at one point. I think they just decided to let him come out when they knew the game was just going to be a running game type thing. Um, I didn't really look at it. I'm pretty sure, I think he'll be fine. But
if I had to make a prediction, I'd say that Campbell is a game time decision for Arkansas, and Lance Hurd plays.
well, no, I honestly, I don't
Or do
know.
you?
I feel like both of them are going to be on the injury list as like questionable.
Yeah,
I think that's probably what's going to go on, and I think one of them plays against Arkansas, or
yeah.
maybe two, but I think at least one of them plays. One of them's going to
I mean,
be
I
playing.
also could see like maybe them dressing out. I don't know if I'm gonna go as far to say this, but I was thinking maybe both of them dress out and then like Hype will hold out, and if it gets tight, like he throws them in there. But I don't see that happening. I really do think that we're gonna handle business with Arkansas and Florida,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
we're gonna have basically. I think the funny part about that, we're gonna have nothing on film going into the Bama game, passing wise.
we haven't had to really.
No, I know. That's why I loved the play calling in the second half. Like as the longer, like the further and further I get away from that game, the more and more I think that like Heupel has something schemed up for that defense that Georgia runs, and like he doesn't want to show it. He thought of I bet like he was like, all right, I'm gonna play this game like I've been playing all year. I'm gonna drop a couple big passes. The post routes are always there. He knew how the Venables defense is susceptible to like, there's going to be those open guys run downfield, and we saw that, and he took advantage of that. But then after that, he just played very conservative, and he didn't really get crazy with the play calling. And I love that because if we know Hypo, like that guy is an offensive genius, and he's got something drawn up for Bama and Georgia.
Yeah, for sure. And to me, I mean, with Heupel now knowing that he could be without two tackles going into to the Arkansas game, we'll see how that unfolds in the next 8 to 9 days. Um, I'm sure he can have something schemed up to work around it now. It's kind of hard to change what you're doing in the middle of a game, which is why we saw what we saw. And again, like you said, Eli, Brent Venables is a defensive mastermind, much like Josh Heupel is an offensive mastermind. Like, you got to give Venables his props. He's been doing this for a while. Hell, he was the co-DC while Heupel was at Oklahoma.
That
Like,
Oklahoma defense is no joke. I think it is the second best defense we are gonna see all year. I
yeah,
really do. I think that they are better than the Bama defense, and I definitely think that the Georgia defense is probably up there with ours as one of the best in the country. But yeah, Oklahoma, I think that they have a top 3 defense in the SEC.
I mean they're full of bad boys. I mean, like you said, Stutzman's awesome, even though Dylan Sampson just spun off of him and leg drived his way into the end zone. Like you
Billy
said,
Bowman's a stud. Their defensive linemen are very, very. They're good. They definitely lack at corner, but they made like they. I mean, we saw that. We saw Deontay Thornton, Brew McCoy running wide open.
mm-hmm.
Another thing, I didn't see Squirrel White go deep once. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I mean
We know how
that's
electric that is. We know him and Joe Milton connection was special. We haven't seen Nico to score wide,
Yeah.
60 yards downfield. And like I can just see it in Neyland, Squirrel White running down the sideline, wide open. Nico hits him against Bama, and the crowd goes ballistic.
I mean, he's playing Jalen Hyatt's spot. So if if he does against Alabama, I'm sure people would love it because that's the spot that we roasted them with 2 years ago. But do y'all have any more thoughts on the offense? I mean, there wasn't too much to talk about. Like I said, we made the plays we needed to make to win that game. But do y'all have anything else you want to mention about Tennessee's offense on Saturday night?
Oh, Brazel had a touchdown. He has to attack that ball. He has to attack that ball. That back shoulder fade that almost got picked off. He kind of was falling backwards. If he'd have went through the ball, he definitely had a touchdown. He was bigger than that dude. He's better than that dude.
He would at least had a pass interference call.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, do you have anything else on
I'm
the
just going to
offense?
say, I mean, Tennessee's offense is not even hitting its stride yet. I think when this offense starts really clicking, it's going to give even the good defenses trouble. And if the defense could stay where it's at, I mean, Tennessee is going to be very, very hard to beat. I mean, even in rotavirus, we already proved it. We're going to prove it next week. Again, Tennessee's sitting in the driver's seat of their own destiny here. I mean, realistically, if you look at Tennessee's schedule, if they beat Alabama, I mean, I'll still consider the Georgia game a toss-up, but if Tennessee's offense can get to where it needs to be, watch out. I think 11-1 is not out of the question. I mean, we could also beat Georgia too, but I'm just being conservative. I say, I mean, you're looking at 11-1 season.
Here's the thing. I feel like we're going to learn a lot about both Bama and Georgia this weekend, and I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're going to learn a lot about them. I think we're going to learn a lot about Arkansas, who we play next game. Is the game in College Station? I can't remember, but
No,
they play a top 25 Texas A&M team.
Yeah, and A&M's been
they're
playing
no
well.
joke. Arkansas, they've looked like the worst team in the SEC this season, and they've looked pretty good they looked decent against Auburn. But, going on the road, like Arkansas fans they have a good fan base.
I'll be the Vols fan to say it. Let Bama win this weekend and give us Bama when we're 6-0 and they're undefeated. Give us a night game in Neyland. Let me just tell you, you thought 2022 was crazy? That would be the craziest game of the year.
No doubt.
Yeah, no, and especially I feel like the 2022 season for most Tennessee fans was like a dream. This season just feels like real. Like it feels like we have a chance. Like we know we have to show up and we have to play our role as the 12th man in Neyland against Bama with literal top seed playoff implications, SEC championship implications. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huger than the 2022 game from my personal point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree with Jim. I think Bama's going to take down Georgia this week, and I think they're going to be undefeated rolling in Neyland, and we're going to smack them in the mouth on both sides of the ball.
I mean, just talking about that Georgia-Bama game coming up this Saturday. I mean, you talk about two teams that want to tout themselves as, the SEC Blue Bloods for the 2010s and even currently. I mean, obviously they are, but both of them going on bye weeks before this game. I mean, that's kind of soft. But that Texas A&M and Arkansas game is always in Dallas for the last few years now because of Jerry Jones and his geriatric ass going to Arkansas.
I didn't know that.
That's where that game will be in Jerry World. But
yeah, I remember when they played with KJ as the quarterback. Yeah.
So it's basically a home game for Texas A&M.
I think a lot of Arkansas fans end up going just because it's like a thing now.
Well, yeah, but still, I still think that's stupid. I hate the neutral site games that are in conference personally.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Unless it's the Red River rivalry, I love that. That's a good one. That is the only one I like. I do not like the world's largest cocktail party, whatever you want to call it, Georgia, Florida. I think it's BS that Georgia doesn't have to play at Florida every other year. That's BS. We have to deal with it. Us Tennessee fans have suffered from it. I've never seen Tennessee beat Florida at Florida in my entire life. I'm sick of it.
Well, we're getting off track here, people.
Sorry.
Well, I started it, so
It's all right. It's all right. We're on a bye week. There's nothing.
yeah, literally, leave us alone.
Switching gears to the Tennessee defense. I mean, good lord, they are elite. I don't think it has to be questioned anymore. I mean, going into this game this past weekend, it was touted as the two freshman phenoms facing off against each other, and Jackson Arnold got benched because he was so damn shitty in the first half.
Before the half,
Yeah,
he was benched before the second quarter was over, and I mean, dude, who do we start with? I mean, Tennessee's defense is incredible this year. I mean, secondary wise, let's start in the secondary. Jamal McCoy. Other than maybe Cam Ward, I'd say he's probably the nastiest transfer portal addition in the country. I mean, he's been locked down. Like, he has been absolute lockdown every game, and I think he's just been a huge addition. And again, it's something Tennessee needed, and he was the perfect fit.
The most underrated. I mean, Tennessee fans were raving about it all summer, all off season. Like, we added a freshman All-American. And it went unnoticed by the national media. No, everyone just batted out, oh, Tennessee's secondary. And it's like, guys, Heupel's been here for 3 years. Like, let him get his defense, and it's coming into its own now. And it's scary. I saw a tweet. I think it was Jesse Simonson tweeted, and he was like, Tennessee has stay power. They look like an SEC football team. They're built to last in this league. And, adding guys like Jamal McCoy is only going to ramp up recruiting, the transfer portal. Like, recruits see that, and they're going to be like, okay, well, Tennessee, like, known as a horrible place to go, and be a cornerback, be a safety. Like, now, Jacoby Thomas looks like freaking Brian Urlacher out there hitting people. I don't know where that comes from at all. That hit was insane from the top deck. I was like, dang, up there. And like, that's far. But anyways, like, recruits are going to see that. People in the portal are going to see that, and they're going to want to come to Tennessee. And like, I think we have stay power. I really do.
Yeah. Like, just talking about Jacoby Thomas, I mean, a guy that people just forgot about, it seemed like, during the offseason. I know we didn't, just on this show. I mean, we were talking about Jacoby.
People forgot about him this season because he wasn't the starter to begin the year.
Yeah, I mean, he is a headhunter. I mean, there's no two ways about it. He's out there to lay dudes out. Like that he hit Javonte Barnes, I'm pretty sure, and I don't think he played much the rest of the game. I think he didn't want any more after that. Like, he got thrown 5 yards out of bounds.
Welcome to the SEC. It's
Exactly.
posted by like everyone. Welcome to the SEC. Like, and it was like, I honestly, like, earlier in the week, I don't know if y'all saw, I saw some dude tweet, and they were making fun of Will Brooks. Like, dude, we got this guy in their secondary. And I was like, and then I screen recorded his pick six, and they were like, oh, you blah, 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 you look at the coverage. It was a busted coverage. And I was like, whatever. And I explained to him, I was like, well, anyways, this is his backup. And I screen recorded the video of Jacoby Thomas killing that Kent State player. And then I later, after the game, I quote tweeted again. I was like, yeah, this guy, ? Didn't get a response, but
Yeah, they were pretty well beaten down. I mean, Javonte Barnes, again, but before that hit from Jacoby, very first play of the game, just gets swallowed alive by Elijah Simmons in the backfield. Like, let's talk about the defensive front. We've talked about it through the first 3 games, but now against a legitimate opponent, I know they've had their offensive line issues, but they didn't do anything. I think they only ran the ball they ran the ball 34 times for 36 yards with the sacks taken into account. That's insane.
You know that center that they were raving about? He's back. Yeah, our 5th string defensive tackle, Jackson Moy, had a sack off him. I don't want to hear it anymore. Your offensive line is garbage. Your offense is garbage. And I'm sick and tired of people tweet Michael Hawkins, quote, Michael Hawkins. If he played the whole game, Oklahoma would have won. Do not give me that crap. We threw the ball 3 times in the second half. And we had second string linebackers playing the majority of the second half. I don't think James Pierce saw the field much in the second half. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, please. But I don't. We have 5 groups of defensive line. It's the deepest unit in college football.
Well, hell, I mean, Jim, me and you were talking about it in the last few days. I mean, the guy who got the safety, what's his name? Tell me, Jim. Tell me.
Jenkins.
Jason Jenkins. Yeah, he played like maybe 5 or 6 plays, but he had a sack and he forced the safety. Incredible.
Insane. Literally insane. Like we got dogs in the trenches. We can throw anyone. Like if someone goes down, like it's going to be a bummer. Joshua Joseph's graded out at, I don't know if y'all saw this, PFF 99% as a run in the run game. That you don't see that. I don't care if you're playing Kent State. I don't care if you're playing Georgia State. I don't care if you're playing the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, left on Amnicola. You don't see 99% grade in the run game ever. And especially against Oklahoma. He is elite. He's up there with James Pierce as elite. He's going to have a good NFL career. You know, call me biased, but Joshua Josephs is special. The defensive line is special.
Yeah, and Jim, if you want to talk about the undisputed leader for a minute or two of the defense, you go right ahead. And our Polynesian king on the defensive side of the ball in Keenan Peely.
I mean, I don't know what to say. This kid plays with so much heart, and he's so fast, man. Like the hit he gave to Jackson Arnold, I mean, just like, dude, I've never. You know how long it's been since I've like actually jumped up excited for a defense to play, like. This team gets after it, dude. And Keenan Peely is the leader of this defense. And it's something we were missing last year, man. It was just, dude, he's incredible. Sideline to sideline, plays with passion. I mean, you were talking about Will Brooks, you know, with his pick, the block he made. Like, it's just this. Yeah, I mean, he kind of leaves me speechless. He's been excellent. Another guy I want to shout out, another linebacker, Arian Carter. I mean, from game 1 this year to the Oklahoma game, he looks like a different player.
Yeah,
like, he looks good.
I think you can go back and watch when we were talking the first podcast of the year. We were talking, the linebacking group brought up. I said it is probably the most underrated because you were Ryan, I'm pretty sure we were talking about underrated, or we were talking about the worst position group on the team, and I mentioned like running back and secondary, of course. And you were like, what about linebacker? I said, I think that Keenan Peely and Arian Carter are going to hold the defense down this year. They're the quarterbacks of the defense. That's what a linebacker is. And so far this season, both of them have been otherworldly. Arian Carter has grown into, like, he was a freshman last year. He grew into his own this year. He flies. He's faster than Peely. I think he has a higher ceiling than Peely. Peely is he's mean. I would pay money to know what he said to Jackson Arnold when he hit him.
He said, "Stay on the ground, you bitch ass white boy."
Yeah, something like that.
Sorry to tell you this, Eli, but Peely and Carter got a lot of the snaps, most of the snaps at linebacker. I'll cut you some slack since you were at the game. It's probably hard to read those numbers from sitting up there next to God, but the T-Lander got to the game for 13 plays, but not much else. But like, I don't think anybody's ever going to accuse Arian Carter of being great as a pass, covering the pass as a linebacker, but he's not bad at it. And everywhere else,
good at for what Carter's bad at, Peely's good at.
Exactly. Like everywhere else that he's not good, Peely can pick it up. And when your front four is getting that much pressure, it's not going to matter much, really.
I
Like
think Peely outplayed Danny Stutzman today, Saturday.
I don't, I don't think that's a stretch at all. I mean, we could talk about this defense for another hour, but well, I think we've already mentioned this guy's name. I mean, another Polynesian king, Jackson Moy, like just primal screaming after making a big sack, and then the one play in the second half that really just
Played
showed
excellent.
me,
I mean,
yeah, he was awesome. And sorry, Jim, just before you go, the other play in the second half where I realized like this defense is crazy good. Three people got to Hawkins in the backfield for like a 15+ yard loss on a sack. Like it was a jailbreak. Three people. I think it was Pierce, Jenkins, and maybe Moy. Like just ate him. Like he had no chance. Like it doesn't matter what your linebackers are doing in pass coverage when you're getting that type of penetration. Go ahead, Jim.
no, I was just saying he just played really well. Again, you can name a bunch of people on this defense that played really well. I just this team, man. I'll say it every week, but the culture of this team is incredible. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm kind of speechless with this defense because we're not used to having this. But I it's just amazing. And like I said, once the offense gets clicking, the Tennessee team is going to be just a force to be reckoned with.
Our defense is
Absolutely.
playing like they are in week 4. And our offense, like we've seen it in the past, like teams like really don't hit their stride on offense. Like think about the Tennessee teams in the past that have been pretty good going to see crappy Florida teams on the road and losing because it's like you don't have everything together and it's your first real game of the season. I think this team is going to be special. I think that I mean no brainer, of course, but they're going to be special and they got so much more to prove. The offense, I don't even think Nico's even touched. I don't even think we have seen anything from that guy, to be honest with you. Like we've seen slight bits, but like I cannot wait till like the Bama game when I think Hype was just going to let him loose and he's going to show the world like who he is, what he's made of, and why he is here to stay and why he is the best quarterback in the country. But another guy on defense I wanted to shout out was Ricky Gibson. He had a pass interference, but other than that, like we don't hear his name, and that's good. You don't want if you're not hearing a DB's name, that means that they are playing lights out, lockdown football.
Absolutely. Just talking about the culture, like you mentioned, Jim, how they love each other. After Jackson Ross's, absolute masterclass punt that put him down at the 4, and then they got that false start to move them back to the 2. Did y'all see, Jim? You probably would have noticed this. I don't know if you've watched the highlights yet, Eli, of the game, but after that false start, Bryson Eason and Joshua Josephs were like jumping up and down like little schoolgirls and
laughing at him, pointing and
Yeah.
laughing.
yeah. I mean, that's just hilarious. Like that's the type of stuff you want to see. And again, talking about special teams now, that punt, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I mean, Jackson Ross was keeping us, winning the field position battle for most of the game. And you mentioned him at the top of the episode, Jim, Max Gilbert. The only field goal he's missed was just a pity field goal against NC State because we didn't want to go for it from 50-something yards out, and he barely missed that one. Had plenty of leg, just faded on him a little bit. Like, it's so nice to have a consistent kicker, especially in a game like Saturday night where it was a defensive battle.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's funny is like no one thought Max Gilbert was going to be like this good. So to have a kicker like that, it's awesome. Especially like I said, I mean, going on the road and having to do it, it's not easy. Definitely not easy. But again, this team as a whole is just playing amazing, and I think it's just going to continue. And like I said, the offense is going to get on track. Defense stays where it's at. Special teams is doing great. Let's get healthy on the offensive line. Boo Carter, let's get him healthy for Arkansas because Boo Carter's great. And let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, I mean, perfect time for a bye week with the issues at tackle. Perfect time for the bye week with Nico probably having a few bumps and bruises after that one with all the hits he took. Dealing with that tackle issue. I mean, perfect time for the bye week with Cam Seldon still trying to get back in the rotation. Perfect time just to take a breath after starting 4-0 with plenty of stuff to still work on, especially on offense. Like, I don't think anybody's, thinking that Tennessee's played their best football yet. And Josh Heupel said as much in the video that you referenced him where he was getting emotional after Nico gave him the game ball. But again, perfect time for a bye week, especially going on the road once again to Arkansas. And
well, did you see the one where Heupel was giving the mid-game speech or the post-game speech with the team?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, incredible. Like, you could just tell the love that these guys have for each other. They play for each other, and you couldn't have said it any better. I mean, this team is just something special. Something special.
I don't know if y'all follow that YouTube channel, but it's like Amari Thomas and this old Tennessee
TPL,
yeah. Well, they were interviewing Jackson Moy, and they were talking about the environment at Oklahoma, and they were like, and you could just tell that like they love this fan base, and I just feel like it just means more over here at Tennessee. Like they were talking about how like the environment just doesn't compare to Neyland. And then Jackson Moy, who's new to the team, transferred from Stanford, was just raving about like how much like in the most respectful way possible. He just wanted to say, yeah, like this Stanford is nothing to this. He called our fans more passionate. Like, dude, they just love it. They love Heupel. They love the team. They love the fans. It's a special time to be at Tennessee, and like we just need to bask in it and we need to enjoy it.
Speaking of that, Eli, I know when a team is this good, when they have these national championship aspirations, the fan wants to be hypercritical to just project down the road what might make them not be as successful as they can be. But for me, after that game, like you need to step back and smell the roses a little bit. We went and did something we hadn't done as a program in 18 years and beating a top 15 team on the road. Like, what are y'all's thoughts on that?
Oh, I think Tennessee fans need to calm down, especially on Facebook. I saw a dude comment, it was like, we played horrible and honestly deserved to lose this game. I'm honestly taking this as a loss at heart. And I'm like, dude, like how often does Tennessee go on the road and beat a top cover against a top 15 opponent and hold them to 0 touchdowns through 3 quarters? Like, come on, man. Like, take a step back. Like, my entire life, Tennessee has never been this good. So it's like I'm basking in it. The game, I was just happy the whole time because it's like Tennessee dominated that game from the kickoff to the final play, and I loved every second of it. I don't care if we were being conservative on offense or not.
What about you, Jim?
Again, we're gonna always be that. Tennessee football, we're used to being national title contenders. So, for the longest time, we were bad. And I don't know. To me, it's just crazy. A win's a win. You just won in a top 15 road environment. And just take it as is. You're 4-0, 1-0 in conference play. You're in the driver's seat. Tennessee is in the driver's seat. They control their own destiny with the season. And to me, realistically, you have 2 tough games left on your schedule. Just 2. The others you should win. And this team, like I said, the culture in this program, the fan base should be happy right now.
Yeah. And I think the overwhelming majority is. It's just the ones that want to be miserable. So I don't think it's a huge issue. But
I think a big telltale sign is how the national media reacted to the Tennessee win versus like the fans. And the reason I think because the fans know what we have in Knoxville and they know that our team is better than what they've shown. I still think that there's a lot more to see from this Tennessee squad, but the national media is impressed by our defense and they're impressed by our offense up to this point. And I don't think they've seen it all. And like, they're going to be even more amazed when we go out. And like, I think we're going to beat Bama by 10 plus. Call me crazy.
Oh, please give it to me on a silver platter.
Clip it.
Night game, Knoxville, Tennessee, Neyland Stadium. Honestly, bro, let me just tell you something. If I'm Danny White and that happens, give us the black jerseys. Give us the black jerseys.
They won't just because they like to do traditional jerseys in rivalry games like that, which honestly, I get it. Like you like seeing, I think the orange jerseys in 2022 with the white pants was the move.
I agree, Eli.
You give me Bama at nighttime this year, black's the move. I'm sorry. Like, our
it would
record's
be
so
sick.
good in the black uniforms too.
Just save that for Kentucky while we beat them by 40. That's my opinion. I also like the traditional look against the Floridas, the Alabamas, the Georgias. So, like there's a reason we wore those gray monstrosities against Chattanooga. Like, we're not going to wear that in a big way.
Hey, dude, I love the gray jerseys, especially this year. I think it's my favorite one.
I mean, it's the best of three of the worst jerseys in Tennessee history. So maybe. But do y'all have any more thoughts before we close this one out?
No, I think I already said it. I think Tennessee's in the driver's seat. Just keep playing the way you play. Go 1-0 every single week, and just keep the energy going. And I think this team is looking at great things this year.
Yeah, rest up. Watch Arkansas. Watch Alabama. Watch Georgia. I feel like we're going to learn a lot about both those teams this weekend, or all three of those teams this weekend. And go Vols and Nico for Heisman.
Go Vols, baby.
Go Vols, baby.